Hi gamers, it's Marina, and welcome back. We're going to be talking about new cards, showing off the new announcements, the new reveals, and doing a little bit of an in-depth discussion on these cards. So let's jump into it. We're looking at Pirates today, and we're starting with a brand new one, Gift Pilfer. This is a tier 2. Upgrading the tavern costs 1 less. So this is replacing Deck Swabby. Deck Swabby is going to be leaving, and we are getting a new card that instead of having a battle cry is going to have a persistent effect as long as it is on your board. This card to me feels like a way for them to try to balance out Deck Swabby, so it's used, I think, the way they intended, to help you upgrade a bit earlier, but not to help like steamroll by having a battle cry triggered over and over and over again to get to the end game extremely quickly like some heroes could do. So arguably this is a worse card, but it's probably better for balance. Our next card we have here is Sky Pirate Flag Bearer. Start of combat, give your other pirates Death Rattle. Summon a 1/1 pirate, it attacks immediately. And this seems like a pretty good card to grab on tier 4 if you happen to have a Rip Snarl Captain already, something that's going to buff your pirates that are attacking. This also has some synergy with the tier 6 Eliza that buffs all your minions every time a pirate attacks. Overall, this seems like a decent addition to pirates. I don't know if this is enough to push pirates into a really strong tribe type. Alright, our next new pirate is a Cruise Controlman. Death Rattle. For the rest of this combat, after you summon a pirate, give it +4 attack. This seems like you would combine it with your previous card, run this in the front of your combat. Every time a pirate's popping out, it's getting some extra attack. This seems like a really strong mid-game card. Pirates tend to not really last in the end game, unless you get some really wild APM pirate stuff going, but this doesn't really help that. Our last new pirate, on the other hand, is huge for APM pirates. Ice Fisher is a tier 6 and says after you buy a minion, gain stats equal to its tier. APM pirates has always been like the strongest way to play pirates. For those of you who aren't sure what I'm talking about with APM pirates, essentially you're setting up your board with all of those cards that give you a lot of extra gold, and then you're spending as much as that gold to buy new pirates, play them, and sell them, and just cycle that out so that you're getting scaling on your cards. You're utilizing all the cards that gain some kind of buffs or give your other cards buffs every time you play a minion or every time you get gold. It's, in my opinion, one of the only real viable ways to play pirates that stack up with the other really big builds that you see in the game. This card is going to help a lot with that, combining it with that new amalgam that they revealed, which basically is replacing Greymane's champion. I think that's going to be the way to play this. You throw in a Tethys. I think this is going to be really strong for APM pirates. We have 2 minions here in the returning and change section. One is South Sea Busker. This is coming back. This is a battle cry that gives you an extra gold on the following turn. And our only change we're getting here is Primate getting moved from tier 4 to tier 5. I mentioned Deck Swabby earlier, but we're also having to get rid of Free Dealing Gambler and Underhanded Dealer. Let's take a look at the lesser trinkets. Our first one here is Ceremonial Sword. Whenever a friendly minion attacks, give it +4 attack. This by itself, kind of mid. Of course, you can combine it with other buffs that you can get from pirate cards. Our next one is Ship in a Bottle. Start of combat, get and summon a random pirate. It attacks immediately. Getting free cards is always good. Helps you try to flesh out your synergy on a board. I like this one. And our last lesser trinket is Windrunner Necklace. Your leftmost minion has +8 attack in combat. I think this is way cooler than that first trinket. This basically allows you to set up a board where you have your buffs on the left, that minion attacks, and then the buffs get transferred to the next minion in a row. +8 attack isn't game winning by any means, but I do like this better than that first trinket. Next we have our greater trinkets, starting with Balladist Portrait. Get a Lovesick Balladist at the start of each turn, get another. This seems pretty good. Balladist is one of the only reliable ways to get health on your pirates. Pirates tend to be a glass cannon tribe with a lot of attack and basically no health, so having a way to reliably get some health on some of your pirates is pretty good. Next we have Elementium Chest. Each combat after 3 friendly pirates attack, gain 1 gold next turn. This is the APM pirate choice, so I think that means this is going to be one of the stronger ones to help fuel APM pirates. Next we have Fancy Spellbook. After you spend 7 gold, get a random tavern spell. I'm a little confused by this one. We don't really have spell synergy in pirates right now. We had Time Captain Hooktail, but they got rid of him and they haven't brought him back. This would be a fun trinket if we had Hooktail, but we don't. So this doesn't really seem like a pirate trinket. This seems like it would be better served if you're playing some kind of spell composition. But even then, this really isn't that great. Our last graded trinket is a Windrunner Necklace. Your leftmost minion has plus 20 attack in combat. Just a better version of the lesser trinket. I think this is okay too if you're running something like a Nightbane on the far left, assuming we aren't losing that minion. But in a pirate comp, I think I'd rather see the APM Pirate Elementium Chest trinket or the Balladist Portrait. Overall, pirates look like they're just not as great as other tribes, which is pretty consistent with how pirates have been. I think APM pirates are going to be the outlier, but it's not super easy to get an APM pirate setup going. We'll have to see once the season drops just how they feel. Alright, those were the only updates that they gave us today. Check back again tomorrow. We will have more new card reveals, and I'll be covering those here just like today. Make sure you subscribe, and thanks for hanging out.